And so I think for the women, that's just like, I would say, don't go out your way and not be authentically you. Like, yo, if you like, yo, I'm really fine, then cool. Now, if it's something else going on that you might realize in counseling later as why you got a wall up or why you like, I can be bad all by myself, that's different. But for the most part, hopefully, every single one of you queens listening or watching, you deserve a man, husband like me or better that's going to serve, that's going to affirm, that's going to go out the way to find different ways to chase your hearts. And if you want to open the door, you want to, do that thing that I feel like I could do, then, then you deserve somebody that's going to find some other creative ways to connect with you.
Hey, it's Logan Renee of the Soulcation Podcast, the home of all things soul care, a place where we heal, we grow, and we laugh, all while you're building your six-figure business or CEO career. And now for your Soulcation announcements. I hope you all are ready for the 2020 Soulcation Retreat. I just want to be the real me that will take place Saturday, August 28th. We're going to talk about having a CEO mindset, liking and loving the woman that you are, forgiving the woman that you were, releasing self-doubt, unpacking brokenness. We're going to have some of the most talented women at this event, and we want you there because we know anybody listening to this podcast is that type of woman also. So we can't wait to see you there. Also, we're going to have a live class this month. We have them every single month and they are free and we want you there. It is Thursday, March 25th. It's entitled Business Collaborations and Partnerships. Also, working with difficult people. How do you do that? We're going to help you find someone where do you find someone that can come alongside you while building your brand, while building your team? How do you create healthy relationships? What relationships should you avoid? Contract templates, business services and offers, narrowing down your niche so you know who you should be talking to and who's your audience. Also knowing what you're going to offer yourself as a business owner. We hope to see you all on March 25th. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Soulcation Podcast. I have Mr. Jeremy Anderson with us today.
Yeah.
I'm super excited. Thank you for joining me, Jeremy.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes. So just to give you all a little background about Jeremy, he is an educational expert, author of 6 books, motivational speaker, CEO of the Jeremy Anderson Group, a husband, and a father of 2. We're going to be talking about more of his resumes as we get through the interview, but welcome again, Jeremy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm ready. I've been waiting for this.
Yes. Were you always an entrepreneur?
Yes and no. I mean, no, I think my first job, I worked for like a little local vegan fast food restaurant. Believe it or not, that's weird, right? Like vegan fast food. And then I worked in the mall, like at Kirkland's, and I worked at like Burger King and, Subway. But my first job was cutting grass though.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So summertime, I always had a little money in my pocket. You know what I'm saying? So I've always been an entrepreneur in heart, been, school and college, and then began to go on this journey about 8 years ago. So my first job was working for myself, besides working for free around the house. But I guess my parents paid me through room and shelter and clothing and food. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what made you get into the lane of education? Was that something that your heart just always yearned to do? Because it takes courage to work with children.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. I tell teachers all the time, I tell educators, I say that in order for you to be an educator, this is more than just an occupation. This is more than just a career. You got to be called to do this work and a little crazy. You know what I'm saying? You got to be a little loco to show up every single day dealing with these babies. But for me, I went into the area of motivational speaking. I was doing the big 3. I was doing schools, I was doing churches, and I was doing corporate. So anybody that would give me a platform, I was willing to speak. And some years ago, my mentor told me, he said, Jeremy, either you can be like a handyman, where it's like I can do a little wiring, I can fix your plumbing, you know what I'm saying? I can fix your AC unit, or you can be a specialist in a specific field. Like, so don't be like a jack of all trades. Be like an ace, of one. And so I was just like, man, he was like, if you really want to build wealth and make the biggest impact and want to be the GOAT, like if you really want to go to that next level, You're going to have to determine and decide like which lane do you go in. And so for me, a lot of people I come across and I'm coaching now, like they struggling because they feel like, I'm good about this, I'm good at this area, I'm good at that area. And I'm like, that's cool, but your gifts will make room for you, right? So let's find one particular field and let's give it our all. That's why I cut corporate, because corporate didn't come as easy, but then I still had the faith-based churches and then I still had schools. And then I had to ask myself, I said, which one can I make the biggest impact in? And I realized I could reach more people. See, if I leave a church speaking, your pastor's still going to be there. I was the guest preacher, but you still going to be having a good shepherd. But in these schools, it's very few people coming in, giving them an encouraging word. These kids are cutting, depressed, anxiety, depression, suicide attempts, suicidal thoughts, you know what I'm saying, having sex as early as 4th and 5th grade, like drug and alcohol abuse, like coming from homes where my father at. Like you can only imagine, right? You know what it is. So I realized I could bear more fruit and reach more people and make a bigger impact. And so I fully gave myself about 5 years ago. I just fully gave myself in everything I did and put all of my focus in the educational space.
You said a word to me, because I literally I dance in between 5 or 6 different, I guess, specters. And you're right. It's so hard being stressed out.
And if you see behind me, like we got the living, that's a nonprofit, teaching, students, trucking, real estate. So we got different companies, right? But when it comes to the speaking, and I still get invitations to speak for churches, I still get to do corporate or organizational work, but I'm not branding myself as that. Does that make sense?
That does.
And so my mentor was like, he was like, I'm not telling you to decline. Go get the bag, secure it. You know what I'm saying? Like save it, stack up, put it in the college fund, like go like and receive it.
Yeah.
But don't go out and say, hey, I can do this, I can do this, I can do that. You stay in one area and watch how you being phenomenal and excellent and amazing in that area, how that will begin to open up other opportunities for you. And so that's what I did.
You said that you coach clients on this. So what would you say to an audience member who does feel like they're spreading themselves thin? How can they hone in? How do they know that's the right area?
So it really depends. So I am so leery. I am so leery of jumping into something new until I've mastered what we currently have. Like I believe in the art of being faithful over the few things so we can be made ruler over many. So I believe in like, let's find that one area. All right, have we mastered this? Now we can go to the next. Every Monday morning, we have company meetings where our whole management staff come together in all the different sectors and we kind of just talk about what's going on. And they're like, hey, we should try this, or hey, I saw that, or maybe. And I'm like, let's wait until we can have somebody that can help us manage it. Like, let's wait. So when we started our trucking company, the first year it was my wife that pretty much managed it and was the brains behind it. But I said, man, we gotta save up and get in a position where we can hire somebody that can manage all of our drivers and all of our trucks. My team been telling me for 2 years, start a podcast. I was like, I'll start the next level teaching podcast when I feel like I have a co-host and I got a producer that can handle it. You just tell me when to show up. You feel me? Like I got the bandwidth to show up, give you an hour, laugh, talk, interview, boom, boom, boom. Now I'm out. But I can't be mixing the music and all of that and uploading and coming up with I ain't got time for it. You feel me? And so I realized, like, because of where we are, and we've been doing this at a high level, I said, when we have time, that's when we'll go into that field. I just, like 5 minutes before we jumped on together, I just hired on one of my younger cousins who's about to run our clothing company. And so we put it on the back burner. We cooled it off for a couple of years until I could really give it the bandwidth and the money and the support and the attention it needs. But now I have somebody that's going to be a director that's going to pretty much run it. Wow. You see what I'm saying? And so that's what I would tell anybody. So you want to make sure that you want to make sure that you put all your stuff in place and when it's operating with excellence, then go to the next thing. Because you don't want something to start suffering and then it's a poor representation of you. Like that's not next level. So I try to really harness that. I try to be true to it. And so I try to be more disciplined with the things I get into. Because let me tell you, you might hit me with a good idea. And I'm like, ooh, I like that, Logan. Let's do it. Let's do this. And I have to be like, but okay, Jeremy, do you have the bandwidth? Do you have the time? Because what I can't have is for my wife to suffer or my children to suffer, or I'm giving all these other entities my best and I'm giving my family the rest. Like that's not fair to them. You know what I'm saying? And so I would tell any of your entrepreneurs, any of your followers, your supporters, your tribe that's rocking with you, that's listening, I would tell them they have to ask themselves, like, okay, do I have the bandwidth to go into another venture? And if I start this off, Do I have somebody that can help me on this journey so it's not absorbing all my time, all my energy, and then the other areas of my life or business are lacking? So it takes discipline.
That's good. That's really
Yeah.
good. So how are you able to work alongside your wife? Because you all have a nonprofit, Next Level Living. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So how do you all keep marriage, keep the
Right.
food time
Right.
and run a business together? Like, how do you all separate the two?
Yeah, so it's funny too. Like we worked so well together. We didn't always. So when we first started, so first off, if you could just give me a minute, let me tell y'all how we even got to doing this together. So
Please.
I went to this one little school and spoke. This little girl got red hair and freckles. After I got done speaking for this middle school, this little girl just like crying her little eyeballs out, Logan. I'm thinking like, she's so sweet. What's wrong, boo boo? She's like, you just saved my life. She like 13. She's like, I plan on committing suicide. She was like, I'm dealing with some heavy stuff. I came up with this plan, came to school, and before I could slip out, they made me come to this stupid assembly. But I'm so glad I did because now I want to live. And I know now that the weapons were formed, but they're not going to prosper because you told me I'm more than a conqueror, Mr. Jeremy, and I'm going to make you proud. She give me a hug. I'm thinking like what in the world? You know what I'm saying? And so she run off to class. And so in my head, I'm messed up, Logan. I'm thinking like, man, I got something inside me that can really help people. So I went and told my wife, I said, babe, I've been speaking, here or there once or twice a month, what I'm saying, for a few years now. It's time for me to give my all to this thing. This new generation needs me. And my wife's so crazy, this chick, Lord have mercy. She was like, you think you're going to be traveling all over the country, inspiring, motivating people, jumping on planes, and I got to stay here? And that's when my daughter was first born. She a newborn. And she like, and I got to raise Jewel by herself? Why you? No, 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 no. What we finna do, both finna.
She did the hands too.
I'm talking about what we finna do. And I had made her breakfast that morning because I had to get her with the spirit. You know what I'm saying? So I had her little egg whites, her little toast with a little avocado. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking like, I need to get you all the way in the spirit. I'm like, God said do it. She's like, well, what he say about me? I'm like, he actually, your name never came up, my love. You know what I'm saying? She was like, no, 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 no. We finna do this together. I'm gonna manage you. I'm gonna do the marketing, the branding, the finances, the structure. And I was shook. Like I had little faith. I had like that mustard seed faith. I ain't had big faith. I'm thinking like, I need you to keep working because you work for the government. You get paid good money. Like I need that. Your salary gonna cover the car note. It's gonna cover the bills. It's gonna cover the mortgage. She was like, nah, Playboy, we all in this together. So that's how we kind of embarked upon this journey. And so early on, it was smooth, but then it was rough because it got to a point where it's like, if I don't speak, I don't eat. And then when things got a little bit more comfortable and we started making good money and things started picking up, we were bumping heads because we opposites. And I don't know if you're familiar with like the DISC personality assessment. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're okay, yeah, me too, my girl. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a high D, but my wife's a high S and a high C. And so I'm on offense. The way my brain is wired is let's score. The way her brain is wired is let's be in protection mode. So when I was saying let's do certain things and different business ventures and ideas, she looking at the account, she like, no, we're not gonna do that. So for the longest, I thought she was trying to hold me back and she didn't have faith, but she was really in protection mode. And so the DISC assessment and marriage counseling, I humbled myself. We met with some counselors, years of this, right? To really try to just get closer and closer. We began to navigate child loss and depression and just all sorts of different things, moving to new states and cities. Like life was kicking our butt for years and we just hung in there. But I realized like, okay, I'm on offense, you on defense, like we're going to figure this thing out. And so we cracked the code now. So now we work really well together and didn't have no issues during the pandemic. I know a lot of folks now is looking at their spouse like, I wish you would just go somewhere. You feel me? Like, but me and my girl, we're in a great place, and that hasn't been our story. And so it's been smooth working with her, but it took us a while to get to this place to where we were able to grow up together, as entrepreneurs as we begin to experience this journey. Yep.
I love that. I hope y'all caught all that because clearly there's no perfection. There's nothing perfect, especially so you all had to learn each other, your personality types. You all decided to go to counseling. You all didn't give up on each other despite all the things that you all went through. And that's amazing.
Yeah.
We're realistic here at the Soulcation world.
No doubt. Yeah.
So how can parents that's listening to this episode, how can they channel their kids' gifts? Because a lot of times the gifts they're already in us when we were born, but you can see them in certain kids. You like, something is different about you. There's something extremely special. How can parents right now start channeling those gifts, especially if they don't have a lot of money?
Yeah, I think I'm still trying to figure that out. I think the first step is to be in tune with your child.
Yeah.
Right. I think the first step is to look for those cues of greatness. Like right now, my daughter Jewel, seriously, right? She could either be the next senator, she could be the next mayor of Atlanta, she could be the next VP, the next president, she could be the next CEO of IBM, she could be the next soccer star, she could be the next basketball player, she could be the next pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church with Dr. King. Like for real, like for real, like my daughter, listen to me. My daughter got the juice. I'm seeing the brilliance in her negotiation skills. I'm seeing the brilliance. She could be the next Beyonce, like the way she dance and twirl and spin. I'm like, that spin. You know what I'm saying? She did a roundhouse karate kick the other day, but took the wind out of me. I'm like, boo boo, I just signed you up for karate. Don't be using the moves on daddy. Like, don't do that. I will kick you back, little girl. And so, like, she's so full of life. And so, me and my wife were just kind of just nurturing it, right? We keep her active, we keep her busy, we stay in tune with her, and she might be the next Meryl Streep, you feel me, or the next Viola Davis, because she is a drama queen. And so, with all that being said, I think that our children oftentimes show us the genius within them. It's our responsibility to nurture it. It's our responsibility, and I didn't want her out here. Honestly, you know why she's not in dance class? Is I just don't want her. I don't want her pop locking. I don't want her on no. She definitely ain't finna be on nobody's pole. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want her. She ain't finna be in a little ballerina tutu. So for me, I'm like, yeah, boo boo. Unless you just crying and you like, please, daddy, want dance, we not even gonna consider it. You know what I'm saying? And so with all that being said, I just think it's important that, that we're in tune with our kids and we're kind of aware and we're looking and we're asking those questions and we let them kind of decide. And she might end up growing up and say, Daddy, I want to be an artist. And I might be like, wow, okay, that's different. And so with that being said, I think the biggest thing for parents is to take that time to understand their child, to see what it is they're into. And she might be the next Wolfgang Puck. Like, she loves to cook. You know what I'm saying? And the part of me, and I've been getting convicted by God, because the part of me, I want to be like, boo boo, like, let me just make this. Please, daddy, let me crack the egg. Please, let me make my breakfast. And I'm just like, but I'm like, you know what? This is the moment. This is a moment. You know what I'm saying? Let's have this moment, even though you done got the egg yolk everywhere. And my wife finna be like, oh my God, where the Clorox bleach wipes at? So like, let me just get the wipes out. So when the egg yolk go everywhere, you know what I'm saying? I got a little shell in my she wondering why the eggs extra crunchy. A few little shell pieces got in there. But that's a part of my daughter's genius and her brilliance. And I don't want to put that light out. And so I'm like, man, you real passionate about cooking. She ain't trying to really watch Disney Channel, but she will watch Food Network and Kids Baking Championship all day long. You see what I'm saying? And so I'm just trying to be intentional to what my baby girl likes and kind of guide her from there.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Because a lot of women listen to this podcast. How do we let our husbands, even boyfriends, how do we start at a boyfriend level, letting him help? Because we're used to doing it by ourselves. So it's hard to be like, oh, okay, I guess you can carry this. And I guess you can, help me out with this. Like me and my boyfriend got it, not into it, but he got me a Bluetooth headset. And I was like, I can set it up. And he was like, I got it. I was like, no, really, it's so easy. I can just do it. And I'm thinking I'm saving him, but he was just trying to help me. So even little things like that, how do we let you all help?
So I think every person is different. There are some women that think it is so beautiful that he opens the door and closes the door for her, right? But then there are some women like my wife. She just like, honey, that's cute, but I can do like this. That don't mean nothing for her. But as she grew up and her biological father was there and he opened the door and saw her mom, then that might be something she was inclined to. But it was her and her mom, so she's like, I'm really good. So I'm thinking like, man, boo, you won't let me help. But then I'm like, you know what? You will let me help. Because now when we in bed at night and you ask me, I wonder if there's any more ice cream. She ain't asking me, is there more ice cream? She's asking me, will I go downstairs and get her some? So because I'm a super dope husband, I'm like, you know what, boo, I think it is something. You want some? No, don't worry about it. It's going to come. And I'm going to say, oh, boo, I got you. And I jump up And then you feel me?
Yeah.
So when my little boy is crying at nighttime, I'm like, let me be the one to go get him so mama bear can rest. And so I think for the women, that's just like, I would say, don't go out your way and not be authentically you. Like, yo, if you like, yo, I'm really fine, then cool. Now, if it's something else going on that you might realize in counseling later as why you got a wall up or why you like, I can be bad about myself, that's different. But for the most part, hopefully, every single one of you queens listening and watching, you deserve a man, husband like me or better that's going to serve, that's going to affirm, that's going to go out the way to find different ways to chase your hearts. And if you want to open the door, you want to, do that thing that I feel like I could do, then, then you deserve somebody that's going to find some other creative ways to connect with you. So it's like, and my wife don't ask twice. So she like, hey, the trash got to go. And I'm like, okay, bet. But if she look up 4 hours later, she not finna be like, hey, she not the nagging type. She like, see, I asked you, I'm finna take the trash out. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I missed it. So now if you send me to the grocery store, I'm finna get your car detailed and fill it up with gas. That way you ain't got to get out in the cold winter to make up for it. You see what I'm saying? So we've got that type of relationship. So I think that, women should have that conversation and say, hey, this is what it is. I like, and then if you don't mind, like, let him do that, because we do want to do these things for you. And even though you say, I got it, it does something for us when we're able to do that for you. But I think the challenge that a lot of women have is they're not assertive enough to say, you know what? I know you're trying to open the door for me, or I know you want to put my Bluetooth, but if you really want to do something for me, you could pick up your drawers in the bathroom. You feel me? Listen to me. I already know, Logan. Look, my wife's like, if you really want to do something for me, then you can take that out, because I asked you to do that a week ago. And I'd be like, oh, okay, you being petty. She's like, nah, honey, that's not petty. That's the truth. I'm like, oh, wow, okay.
Glory.
Yeah, it's
That's
real.
So good. That's so good, Jeremy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, last question. How can we support you of your 6 books? You have to get this book. Like which book?
I think it really depends on like where you are in your personal life. My very first book, From Prodigal to Prodigy, was when I first shared my testimony of how I overcame drug and alcohol abuse and all the crazy stuff that I was doing to now living a life of purpose. Then I've got some discipleship books out there, and I've got some devotionals and a book on manhood. I just finished a book. It's probably going to end up just being an ebook, though, on how to become a motivational speaker. We got like a full-time course where I show people like you and me who have a story, who want to help others, like how they can make a full-time career out of sharing their story, how they can make a big impact with some really great income, like how they can live a life of purpose, but also be able to make some significant profit. And so that's the most recent book I have as well.
That's so good. Thank you so much, Jeremy. This was amazing.
For sure. Thank you for having me. This is great.
Of course. We might do a part 2, Be on the lookout, people.
You know what I'm saying?
Make sure you all share this episode with all of your friends, your family members, because this is going to be a really good one. Thank you all, and I'll catch you on the next episode of the Soulcation Podcast. My hope is that your soul just went on a vacay, and you have tools that you can apply to your life today. For more in-depth tools, head on over to loganrenee.com. Also, if you have questions that weren't answered on this episode, email your questions to logan@loganrenee.com, and I'll answer them here on the show. I'll talk to you soon.